The golden light of a late July dawn in 2024 spilled across the rolling hills of Willow Vale, a sprawling rural enclave tucked in the rugged plains of western Montana. I stood on the porch of our family's 150-acre ranch, coffee in hand, watching the oak-dotted pastures where my grandfather's horses grazed, their breaths visible in the crisp morning air. I'm Ethan Carter, 30, a lawyer who'd traded Denver's corporate grind for this weathered two-story farmhouse at 214 Cedar Lane in Pinecrest Meadows to help my grandfather, Amos Reed, after my grandmother's passing. The Reed Ranch, established in 1969, wasn't just land, it was our bloodline, a sanctuary of white wooden fences, a rustic barn, and a legacy carved from decades of sweat. Amos, 78, was a former Marine, tough as rawhide, his cowboy hat as constant as his grit, still mending fences at sunrise with the precision of his service days. 3 months ago, our peace shattered when Brenda Walsh, the Meadowbrook Pines HOA president, declared our ranch a historical site because it looked too authentic, aiming to evict Amos for his horse's aesthetic hazards. Her campaign to seize our land for luxury lots sparked a showdown that blended raw drama with unintended comedy, fueled by one woman's relentless quest to be the worst neighbor alive. Brenda had no clue she'd picked a fight with a cowboy who'd never backed down and a lawyer who despised bullies. I'd returned to the ranch, my childhood haven, to find Amos shouldering grief and chores alone. The place was a postcard, hills cradling the farmhouse, the barn's weathered wood glowing under dawn's touch, horses nickering softly. Brenda swept in a week after my arrival, her navy blazer and stilettos absurd on our gravel drive, a laser measurer in hand like a weapon. "Mr. Reed," she chirped, her blonde bob flawless, her smile sharp. "I'm Brenda Walsh, Meadowbrook Pines HOA president. Your ranch is charming, but it's dated for our community's vision." Amos, rocking on the porch, squinted under his hat. "Lady, this land's been mine since your HOA was a bad idea." Brenda's smile didn't falter, but her eyes gleamed, calculating. She handed him a card and a note. "Let's modernize. Times change, Mr. Reed," she said, scanning our fences like a realtor eyeing a flip. Her gaze wasn't admiration, it was appraisal, and it chilled me. That night, Amos sipped whiskey on the porch, staring at the hills. "Ethan, she's eyeing this place like it's already hers," he said. I knew then. Brenda wasn't here to coexist, she was scouting for conquest. A week later, a certified letter arrived from Meadowbrook Pines HOA, a masterpiece of bureaucratic overreach. Violations listed: fencing too rustic, barn misaligned with neighborhood aesthetic, horses causing noise pollution. It read like a suburbanite's fever dream, demanding compliance or fines. Amos, without a word, tossed it into the wood stove, flames devouring Brenda's threats. "Dealt with worse in Nam," he grunted, but his jaw tightened. My lawyer's instincts flared. This wasn't a nuisance. It was a calculated assault on a man who'd built everything I valued. I dug into Meadowbrook's records, finding their HOA, formed in 2021, had no jurisdiction over our ranch, predating their charter by decades. Our deed, filed in 1969, explicitly barred HOA governance. Driving to their headquarters, a gaudy mansion with gold-lettered signs, I confronted Brenda in her office, a shrine to control with laminated bylaws and a color-coded compliance map. On her desk, a blueprint labeled Expansion Phase 3 carved our ranch into 14 luxury lots, priced at $600,000 each. "Ms. Walsh," I said, pointing, "this ranch isn't yours to claim." She covered the map, her smile icy. "It's a study, Mr. Carter. We're enhancing community value." Her voice betrayed greed. This was a land grab, not a standards dispute. 2 weeks later, another notice arrived, accusing our horses of excessive noise at dawn, claiming they violated quiet hours. Brenda's report, absurdly detailed, measured equine snorts in decibels. Then, a yellow sign appeared at our gate, "Property under HOA review," paired with a hidden trail camera spying on our land. It wasn't enforcement, it was surveillance, designed to break Amos's spirit. A third notice followed, alleging our horses polluted groundwater, demanding $10,000 in environmental tests by HOA-approved firms. Amos missed moving hay bales, a first in decades, and I found him in the barn, staring at the floor, hatless a sight that gutted me. "Ethan, what if she's right?" he whispered. "What if this place don't belong no more?" His doubt, raw and unfamiliar, fueled my rage. Brenda wasn't just after land, she was eroding a man's soul, betting he'd sell under pressure. That night, I vowed, "Amos, this ranch stays ours." "She's picked the wrong fight." He donned his hat, resolve returning. "Damn right," he said, feeding the horses with me under starlight. Brenda's lawsuit hit on a Monday, a civil complaint for public nuisance, an environmental hazard, demanding we remove livestock, pave roads, and face $600 daily fines. Amos sat hatless again, the paper trembling in his hands. 46 years, Ethan, he murmured. "Now I'm a criminal?" I sat beside him. "You're no criminal. I'm a lawyer, and Brenda's about to regret this." His eyes sharpened, hat back on. I unearthed Meadowbrook's financials. Brenda had siphoned $120,000 in expansion fees for personal use, including a $3,500 monthly salary and a leased SUV. Her 2021 election was a sham, with only 10 of 52 residents voting, violating state law. Our counter-lawsuit, filed in Amos's name, charged harassment, fraud, and attempted property theft, backed by our 1969 deeds, HOA exemption, and a 1974 survey noting the ranch's independent status. Neighbors, learning of Brenda's fees, shared tales of her tyranny: fines for wrong flowers, banned paint colors, restricted cars. At a library meeting, 47 residents voted to audit Brenda and dissolve her HOA, their voices rising against 2 years of fear. Brenda's final gambit came 3 days later, her SUV rolling up with a county official touting historical designation to preserve our ranch's authenticity. The catch: it would freeze upgrades, making the ranch unlivable, a museum of 1960s life. Brenda's smile was smug, but her eyes betrayed panic. The official, uneasy, snapped photos, explaining a hearing in 2 weeks. I knew Montana Law Section 15 required owner consent for preservation. I let Brenda gloat, watching her pitch heritage tours to neighbors, believing she'd won. The night before the hearing, Amos rocked on the porch, hat tilted. "Ethan, I thought I built this for us, but it's bigger. It's about showing folks like Brenda that money don't always win." At the hearing, Brenda's polished slides lauded rural heritage, masking her trap. I stood, for words shattering her plan. "We do not consent." I presented our deed, survey, and Brenda's violations: her map, her $120,000 fraud, her illegal HOA. The board denied designation, urging a county probe into Brenda's bad faith claim, her face crumpling as her empire teetered. A week later, the county seized Brenda's records, uncovering $160,000 in embezzlement: vacations, home upgrades, all billed as community enhancement. Sheriff's deputies escorted her from HOA headquarters, her blazer rumpled, blonde hair askew, clutching a box of trinkets. Residents dissolved Meadowbrook Pines, electing Amos interim coordinator. The mansion became the Pinecrest Community Center, its plaques replaced with kids' horse drawings and event flyers. Brenda sold her home to pay $200,000 in restitution, fleeing to Nevada, where her new HOA schemes faltered when I shared our evidence. 6 months later, Amos, 79, taught kids to ride every Saturday, our ranch a community heart. A mural of Reed Ranch adorned the center, our gate sign reading, "Reed Ranch, Est. 1969. Community welcome." At a barbecue, neighbors danced, free from Brenda's grip, the ranch's hills aglow. A letter from Brenda's new neighbors thanked Usht been banned again, her legacy one of loss. Was Ethan's legal war justice or vengeance? Should Brenda's punishment be lighter or harsher? Can Pinecrest stay united, or will new Brenda's rise? Share your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for stories that demand your stand.